Another Big 12 game here at Owen Field, another squeaker. I'm Barry Tramel along with Jason Kersey. Saturday night here in Norman, the Sooners survived TCU 2017. A wild game in that the Sooners dominated the first half and yet had to hang on at the end and need a 76-yard run for a touchdown by Brennan Clay late to put it away. But still a victory, and the Sooners are atop the Big 12, Jason.
Yeah, it was definitely an important win to get this one out of the way going into the Texas game. But what you said earlier is right. In the first half, they had a 13-0 lead going into halftime, and that lead felt a lot bigger than it was because TCU hadn't gotten a single first down. OU's offense seemed like it had started figuring things out. Going into halftime, they had a couple nice drives at the end of the second quarter. So the game looked like it might turn into a pretty comfortable win for OU, but that wasn't how it went at all.
The game really sort of turned on an onside kick. TCU got an onside kick after kicking a field goal, able to turn that into a touchdown. Sooners went most of the third quarter without the ball at all. TCU really dominated play, but Oklahoma at the end made the play on defense after TCU had the ball down 3, made the Frogs punt, and then Clay gets the touchdown. In the final 2 minutes, Blake Bell with 2 strong runs for first downs to ice the clock. So, it's not a dominating win, but this is a good TCU team. This is a TCU team that's now got 3 losses. Those 3 losses are to teams that are a combined 15-1, and the Frogs were within 3 points of all 3 of them midway through the fourth quarter. So this is a good football team.
Yeah, it is a good football team, and it's a good win for OU because, even after Brennan Clay's 76-yard touchdown, TCU comes right back with a big play and a touchdown to pull it back within 3 with a couple minutes left. And at that point, the game wasn't over then either. So TCU hung around and they fought back, and it was an important win for OU to come up with those big plays in the fourth quarter to stay undefeated. What
do we take from this game defensively for the Sooners? The dominance of the first half, or the way that they gave up a lot of big plays to TCU in the second half that let the Frogs back in the game?
I think the first half is a little bit more maybe telling because in the third quarter, TCU was able to get back in it they had one nice drive, then they have the onside kick, so the defense has to go right back out there, and then they score again. So I think the first half was a really good representation of what this defense is. I think it's a good defense. I guess we'll have to see once we get down to OU's game against Baylor. I think that'll be when we really know what kind of defense this is. But a test next week against Texas, obviously.
Blake Bell goes to 3-0 as a starter. It was probably his worst game. He was 20 of 31 passing, but had the several good runs. And the thing to remember is this TCU defense is top-notch. The receivers were well covered.
They were. This is probably the best secondary that OU's going to face all year, and one of the best defensive fronts. They faced a really good one last week at Notre Dame, but this one they played tonight was a really good defensive front as well. So the fact that Blake Bell maybe didn't have his best game, they still didn't, Blake Bell still didn't throw any interceptions, so he remains without one for the year. So I think there's a lot of positives to take away from it.
Well, that'll do it here from Owen Field, but Texas Week is coming up. Plenty to talk about when the Longhorns and the Sooners meet in the Cotton Bowl. Stay tuned for further OU football coverage here on News OK and every day in the Oklahoman.